Big game coming up here, January 8th, Thursday night. We have the Miami Hurricanes and the Ole Miss Rebels going at it. Ole Miss is a 3.5-point underdog. The total is set at 51.5 points. Very few people would have predicted that this game actually was going to happen when you looked at the bracket. I think a lot of people thought Ohio State was going to roll. We both thought Ohio State would probably be here. Miami would cover, but it's an interesting game. Obviously, I don't think anyone thought Ole Miss would be in this spot, especially after Lane Kiffin goes. So what are your thoughts on this game overall, and how do you see it playing out?
Well, first of all, it's a fun game. It's fun dating back to Selection Sunday because we weren't sure Miami was going to get into the bracket. We had no idea. They got in not as the ACC champion, but as the lone ACC team. This is just a wild ride for them, and they have gone so far to vindicating their presence in the bracket because they knocked off Texas A&M, went to College Station to do it. That's no easy feat. They knocked off Ohio State, and now they're here in the semifinal as favorites. So all the respect in the world to Miami for what they have done. On the flip side of that, with Ole Miss, same thing, massive respect, but the way that they got here was not really the way that I don't think many people would have anticipated. Maybe the most intellectual Ole Miss fans, but when Pete Golding takes over, Lane Kiffin walks out the door, you think, okay, you're going to need to see a boost from the defense. The offense is probably going to lose something. There's going to be a big play call. Lane Kiffin's not there to make. And it's their offense, not their defense with the defensive head coach. It's their offense that has powered them. Trinidad Chambliss, respect to Kewan Lacey and Harrison Walsh and John Stribling and those guys, but Trinidad Chambliss almost single-handedly dragged this team into the next round, into the semifinal with what he did against Georgia. I think the guy was sensational. It looked like Johnny Manziel playing football again, reincarnated, going against the Georgia defense, and he was dominant. He was so good that the conversation went from, is he going to get another year of eligibility, to should he declare for the draft, because this guy could be playing on Sundays. So overall, before you dive into which team's going to win and anything like that, this is just a fun matchup. Both these teams have overcome the odds. They are doing things we didn't expect them to, and now they're going to take the field one more time for a chance to get to the national championship.
And just the different styles, too. I think that's something that also makes it fun. You have a physical Miami team that wants to run the football and force their will on you. And then you have Ole Miss, who, maybe not the best team in the world across the board. They're very fast, very explosive, but they need a great performance from Trinidad Chambliss in this game. And that's the difference here. Miami's the strength of the team. Ole Miss is the strength of the player. What's going to mean more here? Obviously, Georgia was on the wrong side of history with how just Trinidad Chambliss played last game. Can he do it again? So a lot of question marks coming into this one.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm excited to figure it out, or not really figure it out. I'm just excited to see what's going to happen. Now, before we jump into this, just looking at the betting odds, seeing Miami as a 3.5-point favorite, that is scary. It just is, because Miami, an underdog. Again, I just said it. A lot of people said they shouldn't even been in the bracket, and they have vindicated that. But as a 3.5-point favorite to advance to the national championship, that's just not a path that many people saw for this team. But when you look at it, to what you were saying, Miami does have the better overall team. If there's 22 guys on the field, Miami has more than 11 players who have the advantage. So they have the strength in numbers. But Trinidad Chambliss, if he's going to do what he did against Georgia, if he's going to come out and do that again, he will probably be the best player on the field. I mean, Rueben, Bain, Ahkeem, Mesidor might be giving him a run for his money, but the quarterback's the most important position. So that is Ole Miss's win condition. And that's not to knock Kewan Lacey, who I think is the second best running back in college behind Jeremiah Love. That's not to knock the other guys they have, but those guys, I just feel like the physicality of Miami. I know they just played Georgia, but the way that Miami's playing right now, seeing what they did to Ohio State, there's a chance Miami is the most physical team left in this playoff.
You want my prediction, Grant?
We're making a video about it, so yes.
This is going to be an absolute slaughter. Miami is going to slaughter Ole Miss in this football game. They are going to beat them by 10 plus. It's not even close. And when you look at honestly, and I'll say this too, unless you're an Ole Miss fan, a delusional Ole Miss fan, I'm going to talk about Oregon fans in a minute here because they're the most delusional of the entire group. But when you look at this game,
section's going to be a mess again. You love messing with the comments.
When you look at this game and how it's going to play out, like 9 times out of 10, let's put this game on a 10, say it's played 10 times, right? Play this game 9 times. The normal course of action for this game, Miami is going to run the ball. They're going to have success running the ball against Ole Miss's run defense. They're going to defend the run. Kewan Lacey is not going to have as good of a game as he had in this one as he did against Georgia, because Miami has the edge on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They are as physical as you're going to get. We talked about Ahkeem, Mesidor, Rueben, Bain. That's on the defensive side. Miami's offensive line's fantastic. Trinidad Chambliss can take over a game, and we saw that last time out. He's good enough to do it. He could do it here. But when I look at, what is repeatable, what is consistent, is it Miami just out physicaling a team and, running the ball well, stopping the run? Or is it Trinidad Chambliss taking over a football game? Don't get me wrong, he can do it, but what's going to happen more times if you simulate this game, 10, 100 times, whatever you want to do it? Then we go to the quarterback situation here with Carson Beck. Absolute dog. 27 touchdowns, 10 picks. The picks have not been great, obviously, at times, but you can't play from behind in this game. You can't force Carson Beck to be that guy playing from behind. He needs to play in front. If he does that, he's going to make good decisions with the football, and he's got experience against the SEC. He is a big game quarterback, and I think the first two games so far in the playoffs have proven that. He's definitely a guy who can get it done and make clean decisions if they run the football well. But yeah, if Trinidad Chambliss takes this game over, great, and I think that's the only way Ole Miss wins it. But what is consistent, what's repeatable more times than not, it's Miami's physicality, their run game, and their pass rush. And Georgia did not have the pass rush that Miami has. Trinidad Chambliss is going to see that this weekend. He's not going to be able to run 30 yards back, run forward, make a throw for a first down. It's just not going to happen consistently enough for Ole Miss to win the game. So I'll take Miami by 10.
Okay, so a lot to jump into what you just said. I actually want to start with the running game, because in a weird way, what Georgia is supposed to be built on. This year, they didn't really do it. But what Georgia was supposed to be built on was small gains, staying ahead of the chains, mixing the explosiveness when you can. They've lacked the talent this year compared to years past. But the biggest thing for them was stopping the run. This is a key phrase that you always hear: earning the right to rush the passer. You can rush the passer if it's 3rd and 8, if it's 3rd and 10. But if it's 3rd and 2, you don't have that right, because they might not be passing the football. So you have to control the line of scrimmage. Ole Miss, Kewan Lacey didn't have incredible numbers, but he did carry the ball 22 times for 98 yards with 2 touchdowns. And he was just consistently moving the chains. So when you're able to do that, and you're able to do things like win time of possession, Ole Miss actually, well, they didn't win the time possession of the game, but you're able to keep the Georgia defense on the field for extended periods of time. You're able to assert the authority, control how the game is going to go. That puts you in the driver's seat. What Miami has done probably a better job of than anybody in this bracket, and I guess I'm saying that with a little bit of bias because we only saw Indiana once, so we've seen Miami twice, but Miami both times against Texas A&M and against Ohio State, they came out and they said, hey, you're not controlling the terms here. We are winning the point of attack. You're not running the football. It's 3 and outs. No sustained drives. We're getting our defense off the field. So we're rushing the passer on 3rd down, and our guys are fresh when they get back out there on the next drive. So that, for me, as much as we've talked about Trinidad Chambliss, Kewan Lacey and that Ole Miss offensive line is probably the biggest key for me. I think they will lose that matchup. And again, I got all the respect in the world for Kewan Lacey. Ole Miss fans, don't go crazy in the comment section. But the way the Miami defensive front is playing right now, I do think Trinidad Chambliss is going to be in 3rd and 10. And like you said, if he's going to do what he did against Georgia and what he did finishing the year, because he finished the year playing at the highest level of any quarterback, then he can win this game. But that's just an awful lot to ask from one person. So that's what I'm worried about.
Let's take a step back on Georgia too. They've never been good on defense this year. This Georgia team is not very good on defense. And we go back, like Tennessee, they gave up obviously 41 points there. Alabama beat them, put up 24. Kentucky, I don't classify Kentucky, Auburn. I mean, they gave up 35 to Ole Miss early in the year. Florida, Mississippi State, the Texas win's impressive, but Texas still hadn't found themselves yet. Charlotte, Georgia Tech, Bama. That last stretch of the season where we thought Georgia had this elite defense, the holes still came back through when they played Ole Miss again. It wasn't a solid unit. And like Bama, that win in the SEC championship was probably the worst thing to happen to Georgia, because it made people think, myself included, don't get me wrong, but it made people think that this Georgia team was different. Now, it's hard to beat Kirby Smart, and I think my cap for them doing it. But Ole Miss almost beat them the first time. They should beat them the first time. It shouldn't be any shocker that they beat them the second time. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. This Miami team's different. If you're sticking Trinidad Chambliss in 3rd and long, you're going to pay for it. And you need to stay ahead of the sticks. I just don't see them doing it enough. So, yeah, if you simulate the game 100 times, Ole Miss is going to win some of them. Miami's going to win a lot more because of just their overall physicality and their depth across the board. They're not going to make the mistakes. And realistically, for them to lose this game, they need to get stopped on 4th down a couple times, just trying to, 4th and 1, get stops. They probably need to miss a field goal. They probably need to have that same performance that they had against Texas A&M in the kicking game. Like a lot has to go in favor of Ole Miss, including Trinidad Chambliss being just godly to win the game.
Yeah, one thing to keep an eye on here in this game, and this does matter, Ole Miss, their field goal range is much longer than a lot of other college teams. I always say this here. This was I think this was the title of the first podcast we ever did, which was College Kids Can't Shoot Free Throws. It's two rules. College kids can't shoot free throws and they can't kick field goals and extra points for that matter. They can't kick and they can't shoot free throws. That does not apply to Ole Miss. They are legitimately not quite NFL range, but a lot of these guys, they get to the 40, and in the NFL, you think 3 points automatic. In college, it's like they need to get another 15 yards to then kick. That's not the case with Ole Miss. That is the case with Miami. Miami's kicker, he is have the numbers right here. Here they are. He's 5 of 5 from 20 to 29, 4 of 5 from 30 to 39, only 6 of 10 from 40 to 49, and then he only attempted 1 field goal from 50 plus yards all year. So Miami, it is going to be a lot more of that, not just finishing drives to get touchdowns, but you got to get close to the goal line to even kick the field goal. So when I'm looking at this line of 3.5, I do think Miami is going to win this game, but this isn't the smartest thing in the world to say, but I don't know if they can cover the 3.5, even though I think they will win, because I think those margins, I think Trinidad Chambliss's playmaking ability and the fact that Carson Beck hasn't really been asked to do anything in the playoffs so far, I don't think I'm not like you. I don't think they're going to blow them out. I think it's going to be a very close game.
I think it might not be a blowout. Like that 10 points might come from, hey, we're up 3 and we score a last second touchdown, not last second, but touchdown with 4 or 5 minutes to go. But I just see Miami beating them by more than 3.5 points here. And Carson Beck, if you're going to pick one game where Carson Beck's going to play well, what game do you think it is? It's going to be the Ole Miss game. It's not going to be against Indiana. It's going to be the Ole Miss game. So that's the other thing too. If you get to a point where Carson Beck has to throw the ball, that's not an ideal scenario, obviously, but I have all the confidence in the world he can do it against Ole Miss. I don't have that same confidence against Indiana. Oregon, I don't know. It's to be determined, but in this game, I think Carson Beck can shine a little bit, and I don't think he's going to make mistakes. So
what's your score prediction?
I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I would think I think Miami 24-14. That still keeps you under the total by 10 points.
I'm going to go Miami 21-20.
That's a cop out.
What do you mean?
Because if you're saying Miami's good, if this is truly a 1-point game, Ole Miss is going to lose the game, or Ole Miss going to win the game. I think if it comes down to 1 point, because that means Trinidad Chambliss is kind of cooking a little bit. If it's 1-point game, I think Ole Miss wins it.
Miami 21-20. I'm sticking with it.
In fact, if Ole Miss covers, I think they win the game personally. And I don't think there's a world where
What do you want me to say? You're mad at my prediction. That's what I think should happen.
I'm not mad at your prediction. I just think if it's a 1-point game, Ole Miss, something's going right for Ole Miss if it's a 1-point game.